So today we're going to learn how to do this super fun salt lettering technique. This is a super fun project that you can do with your kids, and it doesn't have to be lettering like this. It can be any kind of design, and all you need are 3 different materials. Now I'm using liquid watercolor, but you can use food coloring with like a pipette or a dropper of some sort, so you don't have to use liquid watercolors. So for the materials, you are going to need some Elmer's school glue in white, and I prefer this brand, but you can try different brands too. You'll need some salt, and I recommend using separate salt, putting it in a separate container. Obviously, don't eat it after you are done with the excess salt, but this way you can reuse it over and over again for craft projects like this. You'll need some cardstock, and then just an excess piece of paper to put underneath your work. And then you'll need some liquid watercolors. I'm using these Royal Talens Ecoline watercolors. I like them because they have a little dropper in there, but you can always use food coloring as well, and I've heard that that works perfectly fine too. So step 1 is going to be to write or draw whatever you want with your glue. So I'm just writing the word fall. And the key with this is to add the salt immediately after. And I've heard other people let the salt dry on the glue first before adding the watercolors, but that's not what I do, so I'm just going to teach you the process that I have used. So you just make sure that it's fully covered with salt. So it could take a little bit more salt. That's why I say reuse it over and over again and just keep it in a separate container. And now this is why you want the paper underneath, so that you can dump off the excess salt. And then you can just pour it right back into the container. And you should have a product that looks like it has snow on it. And now you can just use the paper as a funnel to dump the salt back into your container. And remember, don't use this on your food now. This is now just strictly for craft projects. Now you want to take your liquid watercolors. I usually only use 2 or 3, or you can just use 1 color. And you just slowly drop it wherever you want. But I try to leave some space because, as you can see, the watercolors do travel. And if you use too many different colors, then it just looks like kind of a blobby mess. So that's why I recommend sticking to like 1 to 3 colors. And now my warning to you is that when it does dry, it can crumble and make a mess. So it's fun for the time being, but sometimes it's not great to like hang on the wall because it can just crust off and fall all over the place. So it's definitely a fun project to do with your kids, but keeping it for the long haul isn't going to work because it will just basically fall off the paper. But don't let that discourage you from trying, because it's super fun and the kids love to watch the colors blend together and just disperse from there. So one question that I got was, how can you add the watercolor or anything like that if you don't have a dropper? I recommend getting maybe a paintbrush and dabbing it on that way, or if you can buy a pipette, they're really cheap, that you can get them in bulk, but that's another way that you can add in some color. And now this was something that I did last year. I used different products. I used watercolor paper and clear Staples glue. As you can see, as the glue starts to dry, it is kind of sinking into the holes of the watercolor paper, and so it looks really blobby and bumpy. So I think that the watercolor paper had caused this, but this is just me trying different products, and I had questions about using sugar. You can try sugar, and I feel like it would work, but I think the properties of salt is what makes this work the best. So if you try sugar, let me know down below how it goes, and I'd love to hear how your results turned out. Also, people say that you can wait till the salt dries to add it. So if you try that, I'd love to see it and let me know how your results turned out. But this is just the way that I do it. I found that cardstock works best with the white Elmer's school glue, and then I always use my Ecoline liquid watercolors.